Hey guys, Pastor Chelsea here, and you're watching The Thursday Show. Thanks for joining me this week. A new episode of The Thursday Show comes out every Thursday at 10 a.m. on our Colonial Facebook and YouTube channels. So if you would like to get notifications for when that happens, make sure you're subscribed and that you hit the bell to get that kind of notification. Well, this week I wanted to bring up a topic that was actually requested in our survey that we took last year: how to get involved and serve at Colonial Woods. Maybe you've been attending for just a short while, or maybe you've been a part of Colonial Woods for years and you're just wanting to get more involved. Well, guys, I want to be that connection point for you today and help answer some questions on how you do that. But before we go into how to get involved, I think it's important to talk about why we should be involved in our church. I want to start to answer that question by reading to you from Galatians chapter 6, verse 10. The book of Galatians was written to the church in Galatia, and they were given these words of instruction and encouragement. So then, as we have opportunity, let us do good to everyone, and especially to those who are of the household of faith. The church of Galatia was encouraged to serve and love everyone, but especially those who made up the church body. Now, the church sometimes gets confused for a building, and that's not what the church is. The church is us. We, the people who serve and love God together. And as the church, universal across time, space, location, we should all be loving and encouraging and serving one another. And I think when we remember that we are the church, it can change our perspective to recognize that the church isn't a place that I go to one day a week. I am the church wherever I go, sharing the light of Jesus to everyone that I meet. And then it also helps us realize that if I am part of the church, then I should probably be an active part of it. Now, I want to pause for a second because I know sometimes the church isn't perfect. A lot of times the church isn't perfect. But we need to understand that's because we're not perfect. If the church is made up of imperfect people, which is the only kind of people there are, then we need to be able to show grace to one another, and we need to be able to show grace to the church. So we, as the church, show grace to one another and serve one another because that's what God called us to do when He started the church. Now, serving in the church actually is pretty awesome because it provides a lot of unique opportunities that you just can't get in any other way. Serving in the church allows us to find and use our spiritual gifts. It's a perfect place to put our spiritual gifts into practice. Also, serving allows us to obey many commands that are given to us in Scripture, specifically in the New Testament. There are so many one another type passages in the New Testament. Here's just a couple: to build one another up, to comfort one another, to have fellowship with one another, to admonish one another. All of these one another passages are meant to be done in the church. And so serving and being involved in the church provides a perfect opportunity for us to be obedient to those passages. Serving in the church also allows us just such a unique opportunity to join in the work that God is doing. It allows us to partner with Him, and it allows us to let Him use us as His ambassadors and as His vessels to serve and to love others that are around us. I think, and I'm speaking from personal experience here, I think it's so easy, especially in our Western US culture, to get really self-centered and just focus on me, my schedule, what I feel like doing. And if we are always living in a space of focusing on ourselves, that's not going to be healthy for us, and that's not going to help us to grow spiritually. And so when God calls us to serve one another and love one another, He's doing it because He knows that the thing that's actually in my best interest isn't to focus on what I want, but to focus on others' needs. And I can think through quite a few times in my life where I was going through a hard season, or I was feeling depressed or struggling with some minor depression, and focusing on myself didn't help solve those problems. But focusing on other people started to help bring healing. And so God knows that the very thing that we need the most to be able to grow and to heal is focusing on others. And as we serve others and as we submit to others through service, it allows us to grow our faith like never before. So for all of those reasons, serving in the church is crucial for our spiritual health. And that's why God calls us to do it. And that's why we want to give you the opportunity to serve in that kind of capacity. I found this quote as I was thinking about this topic. It says, "A good measure of our spiritual health is our depth of concern for other people." So if I want to see where I'm at spiritually, a good indicator could be how much am I serving those around me. All right, so we've talked about why serving is important. Well, let's move into the how serving could happen at Colonial Woods specifically. There's obviously a lot of different ways you can get involved. And I think that's really exciting because there's so many different people in the world, so many different giftings that people have. And so there's just as many opportunities for serving in the church. For us at Colonial Woods, we have some very specific teams that are pretty much always looking for more volunteers. So I wanted to share a few of those with you. And as I'm doing that, maybe listen and see if any one specific area kind of catches your interest. So some of our opportunities to serve, well, children's ministry is kind of an obvious one, but even within children's ministry, there's lots of different types of volunteers. There's volunteers who hold the little babies, there's volunteers who teach the classes, there's volunteers who assist with crowd control because kids can be crazy. There's a lot of opportunities in children's ministry. We also have our student ministry that covers 5th through 12th grade students broken up into different classes, different small groups. And within student ministry, there's different ways you could serve as well. There's adults who help teach Sunday school classes. And I know that can be intimidating for some people, so if that's not you, that's okay. There's also adults who just kind of come alongside our students and almost act as coaches and encouragers to what those students are going through. And so if student ministry catches your interest, and let me tell you, as an ex-youth pastor, I love student ministry, so it's an awesome place to volunteer. You can check that out as well. Another incredible opportunity for serving is with our guest services. Pastor Brian Ake right now is the one who's leading our guest services team. And even there, lots of different ways you can get involved. Helping in the cafe with making and serving coffee. Standing at the door and greeting people so that the first experience they have as they walk in is a positive one. Helping people find their seats or hand out bulletins or communion, or even working on our security team to help keep everyone at church safe. Next up on our list is serving with our worship team. Our worship team is always growing and looking for new musicians and vocalists and people who just have a heart for worship and a heart for leading others into a space of worship. Closely connected to our worship team ministry is our tech team ministry. It takes a lot to make a weekend at Colonial Woods happen, and that involves a lot of behind the scenes elements too. We have a whole video room set up with all sorts of computer monitors and all sorts of tech things happen that I don't even fully understand. But it takes some dedicated volunteers to run cameras, to direct the cameras, to run all the boards up in the sound booth. And what's really great is even if you don't really know anything about tech, Pastor Jason is excellent at training up all of the volunteers to know what they need to know to serve in that capacity. Now, another area you can get involved in if you want to work with yours truly would be our online ministries or some of our creative arts ministries. And I've been really excited watching just over the past year at how those opportunities have gotten to grow. It started out with our team of live stream moderators, the people who interact live with those who watch our live streams. And from there, it's even still growing, where we're looking for people to get involved, helping with our church social media accounts, getting involved with a photography team. I'm looking for people who have a passion for writing to be a part of writing and editing different works that we put out as a church. And so online ministries is another exciting place to volunteer and get involved. So after all of this, maybe now you're wondering how you can actually start serving at Colonial Woods? Well, never fear, I've got you covered. If you would like to start serving, just follow the link that's in the description of the show notes. It'll take you right to a form that you need to fill out, and you can check which boxes and areas of ministry interest you. One of our church team members will follow up with you and get you the information that you would need. Or another way to get to the exact same form is to go into our Colonial Woods Church app, which if you want more information on that, check out last week's episode of the Thursday show. And right there on the home screen, there's a button that says Serve. Click that and it'll take you to the same form so that you can get involved at Colonial Woods in a whole new way. If you have any questions about serving or want to know more about a specific ministry, feel free to leave a comment. I'll make sure I answer any questions that you would have, or you're also welcome to send me an email. My email is chelsea@cwmc.church. I'm so excited for you and for the new opportunities that serving at Colonial Woods is going to bring into your life. Well, that's what I have for today. Join me next week as we have a special interview with some of the missionaries that we support at Colonial Woods, the Bumpuses. It's going to be a great conversation. Until then, have an amazing Thursday.